Go to the edge where there once was a pond. It was sweet to behold. Wish I had a magic wand to show you the riches nobody owned. Gone now, drawn down to mud, skin and bones. Without sweet pond, I'd guess the sky will not fall.
And we got to the meeting in March and came to find out that the Dam Safety Committee had just declared the dam unsafe and highly hazardous, and that they were going to drain it as soon as they possibly could. This came as a bombshell to everybody in Guilford who loves Sweet Pond, to realize that we wouldn't have the pond available for all the recreation, swimming through it. And we had shell-shocked geese wandering around, wondering what happened to their pond, and people who seen turtles and other kinds of wildlife that used to inhabit the pond. I don't even know what happened to the fish. I guess they went downstream somewhere.
I want to talk a little bit about the history of the historical importance of the pond.
Well, we know that there was a pond here from the earliest settlement days because it shows up on the earliest maps, and there was a dam built at least as early as 1770 to supply power for a grist mill. And as far as we know, there's been a pond here continuously ever since those early days. So this is not a question of, oh, it was dammed up, and if we release the water, then the river will run free again. This is actually the headwater for this brook. So we're not going to have salmon finding their way upstream beyond here. But so it's historically a pond and has been used as a pond and a water resource for probably 250 years now.
Well, if they don't rebuild the dam in some fashion and bring the pond back, what will this place look like?
Well, you can see down there it's beginning to grow up in some grass and greenery. It will become a wide, vast, muddy meadow with a brook running through it. It's sort of like what happens to a beaver pond when it goes in its cycles of, you know, having a pond and then reverting to a meadowland, a wetland, and then coming back as a pond. But it'll be a tragic loss for everybody who values the pond and uses it for recreation. You know, it's getting to be really hot now, and I for one miss swimming in Sweet Pond right now.
It's my feeling, I think I've read this other places as well, that the southern part of the state gets very little attention compared to the recreational resources and tourist money and stuff that goes into it, and how this is sort of essential for that.
Right, yeah. It's true that southern Vermont has fewer state parks. This is one of only a very small handful of state parks, and even fewer of those that have real recreational resources and facilities like swimming and boating. So it seems that we've been somewhat short-shrifted in the attention and development of state recreational resources. It's nice that we have a governor who's from southern Vermont now. Peter Shumlin is aware of the situation, and he says that he's talked to people at Forest Parks and Recreation. I don't think there's any lack of will. The question remaining will be whether there's money available to restore the dam and the pond. And the people in Guilford are very open to some kind of partnership between the state funding, municipal funding, private funding. We're exploring all the possibilities for sharing the costs and bringing the pond back.
I wanted to ask you what sort of memories you have of Sweet Pond growing up here and the history of it.
Well, the whole neighborhood used to go here swimming in the summer. One thing that I didn't like was that around the edges were a lot of leeches. I was just a small kid, and I didn't like getting them on me, but I got them once in a while. Then another thing, back until we got electricity, which came down this road in December of 1939. We always cut ice off this pond for all the farmers around here. Got ice in the winter and stored it buried in sawdust through the winter so that we had it for cooling the milk in the summer. And that was our refrigeration, so you could say that was a refrigeration unit for the neighborhood. They used to get the ice, the bakers down there where my nephew David's farm lived. They had all the equipment to cut ice with, and when it come time and the ice got thick enough, they'd all get together, the farmers would, and come up and cut the ice. And they lost a horse in there one time, but they got him back out. And I don't know how they got him out, but they did, and because they pulled the ice out with horses, and so.
That was a dam that preceded this, the one that currently just came down? What was that?
Well, yeah, oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, this one was fixed later. Of course, the original dam was built in 1775 on that same foundation that they say is not stable enough to hold a dam. My ancestors built it back then to run a mill with. I'm not sure if it was a sawmill or a grist mill, but I think it was a sawmill. And so there's been a pond here ever since then. I know it's been repaired and rebuilt a few times, but not fully at any time that I know of. I know it stood up all right. I wasn't born at the time of the flood of 27, but I was around in the 38 hurricane when it went through here. And the dam withheld that, and it didn't take out any of the houses they've been so worried about. In fact, my house that I'm living in is one of the ones that they think is the most vulnerable, and that was there back then. I have a hard time believing that was necessary to drain that pond. Maybe to repair the dam, but they're leaning a little more towards repairing it, I think, but we've got to watch them or they'll keep putting it off because they'll use the money somewhere else. Another thing, back until a very few years ago, the grist mill in Bernston, Mass, down by Streeter's store, came up, the owner of that mill came up here every night all summer long and checked the water level on this pond to see whether he was going to have water enough to run his mill or if he was going to have to start his diesel power. And he felt it was worth it enough so that he drove up here every day, and he ran on water power pretty much steady all year round. And this was the source of his supply, I might say, because he, of course, had a dam down there too, but that ran his turbine, but and his mill was run. I never knew exactly how it was hooked up, but it had ropes going across the road to run it with, and that was all he used, and he handled a lot of grain there. You know, we used to buy our grain from him, but the people that bought him out didn't bother with the water anymore. They thought that was too much work, so they went to buying diesel fuel instead. I personally think that was a bad mistake on their part, you know, because it's nothing much cheaper than running some water over something and having it turn it, you know, get it going. And of course there was a lot of fishing done here. In fact, my oldest brother caught a trout 18 inches long and weighed 2.5 pounds out of that pond one time. He drew around it on a board that he had there. Just remember that being in the house for years. I hate to see it go. It's been here so long, and you know it's part of the it's part of the town. I mean, it's been here forever. My ancestors came here in 1765. The deeds were signed by the King of England when they got them, and they built that pond in 1775 to run their mill. So they just, well, I kind of hate to see it go.
Why did you write the song? What does Sweet Pond mean to you? Why did you write the song? What do the words mean? What are you trying to express?
Well, Patty and I have a real history of emergency songwriting. Something comes up and we write a song. And the dam being unsafe and the water being drawn down, I mean, it just came on so suddenly.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we both felt this great loss. I live right up the hill from Sweet Pond.
And she's a swimmer.
And I'm a swimmer. And so I would come down and we were looking at it, we would walk around it, and for a while I couldn't even look at it when I drove by. So something that I often do with my emotions is try to put it into a song, and something that we've been doing together is writing songs. So that song just arose out of that, and we called it Damn Gone.
And I had the school kids at Guilford School write poems about Sweet Pond, the second and third graders.
Above beautiful Sweet Pond, shivery dragonflies play. Without broad Sweet Pond, kerplunk, wood sinks. It didn't used to be that way. Across fragrant Sweet Pond, a tadpole swims with a whoosh. Next to Sweet Pond, cattails camouflage into a bush. Jenna Barry Sturton.
And so all of the wonderful things about pond life were very much in my mind, because the kids had huge lists of all the things that live in a pond, all the things that are important about a pond, plus their own experience of this place in their own backyard.
And I think the pond's been important in our history of living in Guilford. I remember coming to the pond when I was still a teenager, and you know, when you could easily skinny dip in the pond, and there was a rope swing, and then, you know, I remember the Tempest that got performed.
Patty brought up the Tempest, and that was just an amazing era of community engagement, of just ordinary people getting together to make art. There were a handful of people who were really gifted, you know, a fantastic director, costumers, set builders, sculptors. I mean, in this pond there was an artificial island and a homemade boat by Mark Fenwick.
And dry ice.
And dry ice. You know, the boat is still in the woods at Parker
And the whole
Corners.
community came and sat on this hillside.
I mean, half the community was in the play, the talented and the eager, and the other half, plus people from far and wide, came to see that play. I mean, the vibrations of that stayed here a long time. There was a wonderful cult feature film made about the making of it, just because it was so unusual for people to rise up and band together and put in all of their free time to make something old and something new, only for the joy of it. And, you know, people had some free time. They had youth. They had looks. I guess I should say we. And it was, you know, this spot was good to go. This location made the play. This location, like, housed Shakespeare. And how many other places can boast that?
the production of the Tempest and the community involvement and the fact that you're dealing a lot with, you know, the sort of the hippie invasion that happened in the 60s and early 70s here, and how that melded to Vermont, and how the community theater and the production of the play led into that.
Well, I think an under-observed phenomenon was that the locals and the hippies started entertaining each other pretty close to the beginning of our coming. I mean, people always told me that, you know, they found the hippies sort of perhaps a little threatening, but much more entertaining. But we found the people who were here very exotic and entertaining. I mean, Star Clark, you know, I mean, they were just, Emery Evans, I mean, they were just fabulous people who were here, and we taught each other. I think a lot of people felt as if we wanted to give something to them as well as to each other.
Also, I like the quality of, I mean, you know, there's certain places in the community that bring different kinds of people together. So a play can do that, but a pond can do that. The Guilford Fair can do that. There's places and there's events that people gather and they interact and they see that everybody underneath it has a common thread. You could use the image of water, just blending all of that together.
It's important for a larger community than just Guilford. Why this isn't just like a pond for the people here. Why it's important for southern Vermont and for the state, and how it adds.
Well, it's the gateway to Vermont, Guilford. And, you know, as Joanne was saying, she thought Vermont was branded as a place where you should be able to pull over and jump into water. And certainly Sweet Pond is a place that people have come from all over the place and pulled over and jumped into water. And and if you don't want to jump into the water, you can take a guided trail around it and stop. There were places to stop and sit and just look at the water. If you were to take a survey and there was somehow some place where people had signed in, which they never did, you would see that people have come here from all over the place.
It's a rare find. You know, the road curves around here and you could so easily miss it. You know, I do think that we're not asking the state to fix it exclusively for us. I think that Guilfordites are certainly willing to do our part every step of the way. You know, we have engineers who are skilled. We have people who can donate labor as well. We have people who can write grants. We have people who will put on benefits. You know, I guess our purpose here today, and Patty's and my purpose in writing the song, is just to share our images of this treasure and what a loss it is for all of us, just to let it trickle away.
Is there anybody here who never experienced the pond when there was water in it? Okay, then you have to go look at the pictures. Yeah, look at the pictures and know why it's so important to us to have the pond back. So our program is brief, just a couple of words from some Guilford officials like the select board and our representative to the legislature, followed by some comments from citizens, and then kind of the centerpiece, a song by Patty Carpenter and Veranda Porch written expressly for Save Sweet Pond. And that we'll have a chance to respond to the results and see what the options are. At this point, we're kind of sitting tight and hoping that it won't cost so much that we can't afford it, but if it does, we'll figure out ways to put together public-private work to raise the money that it takes to restore the pond.
I'm Ann Ryder. I'm a member of the Select Board, and I just want to really publicly thank Linda Hecker and the Conservation Commission for taking a tremendous leadership role in this effort to save Sweet Pond. We are really grateful to them, and I know Mike Hebert is as well, because they have been working hard to keep us all informed. You know, Linda really said where we are right now. We're waiting for the report that showed us what the options were to maintain the pond and what the costs will be for each of those options. We are, of course, most of us in town leaning toward the option that is has to do with repairing or replacing the dam, because one of the options is simply not repairing or replacing it and letting the water flow. We've really tried to impress upon the people at the state that this has been a pond for 300 years, and that it is an incredibly important recreational resource for our town. And, you know, more than our town, this is a state park. There are people who live outside of Guilford who love and enjoy Sweet Pond. We've heard from all over the country people voicing their support for saving Sweet Pond. So it's going to be a long road. Linda didn't mention, but the timetable is going to be over a couple years. We're going to have to sustain our focus for a while. So we, as I'm speaking for the town here, are looking forward to the opportunity to create public-private partnerships, see whatever ways the town can creatively support the repair. And that's been actually good news for the state people. They've been happy to hear that we as a town are very supportive of this effort. We don't know what shape that support will take yet. We really just have to wait for the report, respond to what's put in front of us. But we will certainly keep you posted, and we appreciate the support we've had from everybody. So thank you.
This is Mike Hebert, who's our representative to the state legislature for Guilford and Vernon. And he's been a huge help so far.
Well, I think Ann pretty much summed up what we're doing. I'm not going to speak a lot, just get out, take the walk, see what's going on, okay?
It would be nice to have a word or two from a citizen, and I know Joanne Wipajewski said that she had some things to share with us. So I'd like to call on Joanne, and then we'll see if there's anyone else who would like to chime in.
Hi, my name's Joanne Wipiewski, and I am the president of the Copkind Colony, which is a project that we run across the mountain for political journalists, activists, organizers, filmmakers, media makers, artists. We've been doing this for 13 years, and we bring people together from all over the country and from all over the world in some cases to talk about their work, to think about the relationship between what they do and the larger issues that we face, and also to get away from their everyday lives and to be able to reflect and think and be in a beautiful place where thinking and resting contribute to action. And we have this theory that, you know, without thought we can't act, and without rest we can't think. And Sweets Pond, apart from being a place that I have loved for 30 years, coming up and down from New York to Vermont, has also been a place of terrific refuge for the people who come to Guilford. And some people have said that, you know, this is a state park just for Guilford, which I think is really wrong, and that even if it was just for Guilford, that would be enough, because the beauty of Vermont is its smallness, its intimacy. And our people have always found that to be the case. And over 13 years of running this project, we've probably had 200 people who have come to experience Sweets Pond, who have swum in it, who have spoken about politics, who have read poetry, who have swung on the rope swing, and who have carried it back with them to wherever they work and whatever they do as a memory of something beautiful. And so we are part of this community in that sense. And we believe in the relationship between politics and culture and art and beauty and struggle. And so apart from saying these words, that we're really so thrilled that there are people who are defending Sweets Pond, and we are here today with a bunch of people who unfortunately cannot experience Sweets Pond in its original glory, but who are here, and we're having lunch because, you know, we really, you know, sort of believe in this kind of preserving small beauty. We're going to share a song with you, and one of our participants this summer, Divad Durant, who is an artist and filmmaker and organizer in the Bronx, is going to give us a song, because we believe in entertainment too.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to perform Yesterday by the Beatles. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as if they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
Thank you, thank you. And now I'd like to present Patty Carpenter and Veranda Porch with their Save Sweet Pond song written expressly for this occasion.
Go to the edge where there once was a pond. It was sweet to behold. Wish I had a magic wand to show you the riches nobody owns. Gone now, drawn down to mud, skin and bones. Without sweet pond, I guess the sky will not fall. Without sweet pond,
No one's talking urban sprawl.
without sweet pond, oh, well,
There's always death and taxes.
without sweet pond, the moon still waves and waxes, though we won't see her face reflected on the water. Herring high and dry, damn gone. No thought for loss of love of a small pond.
We dreamed up the tempest on the banks long ago. Our whole town gathered, dazzled by the shore. The cloud-capped towers, the dazzling palaces, over the ripples,
Shakespeare in a mist. Sweet pond winter skates against the ice. Sweet pond spring,
peepers, paradise.
sweet pond summer, oh, soft against your skin. Sweet pond autumn, baby, changes in the wind, and you can't see the future
Reflected on the water.
The mud flats are dry, damn gone. No thought for loss of time in a small pond. Kingfisher diving, beavers slap their tails, dipping at the surface. Dragonflies sail, kids caught tadpoles, wonder never ceased. Beyond blue blazes, lovers took their ease, and we won't hear laughter echo off the water, till our voices rise. Damn gone, gone, damn gone. It's a long shot for love of a small pond. It's a long shot for love. It's a long shot for love. It's a long shot for love of a small pond. Oh yeah.
Not every advocacy group is lucky enough to have original songs written for it, but that's Guilford for you.